So audit notification, we send out a written notification at least 30 days prior to the beginning of the audit. That's to give the auditee a chance to sort of get their breath and recover and start getting ready. Enclose a copy of that audit plan plus the audit checklist so they have a clear understanding of what it is we're actually going to come and look at. Again, the real goal here is transparency and making sure that nobody's feeling like they're being set up. And then we give them contact information for myself so that in the event they need to check in about, do we need to push the audit back for whatever reason, they're the only other person to contact for that. Next step is to get a hold of their quality management plan and get that as soon as possible. I've had some auditors where they make their first day of the audit all about reviewing the quality documents. My preference is as much of that I can do beforehand, before I get in the door. I want to get it done. And that way I can come in and say, okay, well, I've done a review of the manual, and by the way, here are some things that I've noted in the manual where maybe didn't hit all of the pieces of the standard, whichever one it is that we're following. And it gives them sort of a preliminary chance to review that and see what they want to do in the way of correction before we start rolling all the way through the audit. It also, since again, I'm usually on my own, I don't have the time to spend the whole day sitting there going through the quality manual before I start trying to dig into information. So then we perform the audit, have entrance meeting, go through, gather information. During the entrance meeting, I make a point of stressing that, especially if it's a multi-day audit, that we're going to have availability throughout the audit for them to come to me, and we'll sit down and sort of go over what are the issues that we're seeing and tracking. Try my best not to call anything a finding until we're actually at the closure of the audit, so that they don't start getting it wrapped in their mind if they can't fix it. Try to work with them again as much as possible to try to fix things as we're going. One thing I have had to give people some education on is you might be able to fix the immediate issue while we're here doing the audit. However, I'm always looking for how we're going to preclude recurrence. So I do help them understand that just because we get some documents updated, say they had calculation packages that were missing signatures, you might have gotten those calc packages updated, but we're still going to try and address the real issue, which is where was the process breakdown that they slipped through. So again, keep them up to date on the issues. Develop an audit summary. I provide a written audit summary at the exit meeting. And one thing that I lay out at the beginning of my audits is once we get to the exit meeting and I hand off that written summary, that's going to detail whatever I have in the way of findings or opportunities for improvement or recommendations. There's not going to be anything where I go back to my office and dig further through documentation and say, I've got 12 more findings to bring up against you, and here they are. What they see in that summary is what's going to stand. If I do come across something, I will inform them of it. But from my experience working with people, if they know what they're going to get and they get it, and we leave it at that, it keeps the trust between the units.
So, if you're doing a multi-day audit, do you generally, at the end of the day, have an opportunity for some debrief with your group?
Yes. We usually we'll keep a listing of the issues that as they've come up, and we'll have people in and out to kind of talk about them and see what we can come up with. But the idea is at the end of every day, give them an idea of, okay, what are the issues we've noted, where do we think you might need to go and do some cleanup work, but also, okay, tomorrow, these are the areas we want to work on, so if you could have documentation to support your training program or support your document control program, have that ready. It's also good to do that again, also just to cover who you might want to interview over the next couple of days.
With all these responsibilities, are you part of the proposal team developing the proposal before the award or work even is begun?
I don't sit on proposal teams. We put out a lot of proposals as a company. It would be impossible.
How to tell the truth, I've never seen an audit type person on a manufacturing proposal team either, but we do audits periodically, selected audits throughout the manufacturing process, but they're done as part of the quality control program. But yours is so much more
pharmaceutical biotech industry, that component is an area where we have, over the last decade, have had an opportunity to make a huge impact from a quality perspective. If you don't have quality involved in that component,
Well, again, now we're getting into the quality management
Right.
side of things. So,
But you talked a few minutes ago about, hey, when you arrive at the site, you would be, you'd go over the audit plan to see how well it's being adhered to? I think I,
the quality plan.
well, the quality plan. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
so you might be following the ISO 9000 quality plan, or you might have written a quality plan that's specific to a set of quality criteria.
Mhm.
So before I get there, I'm going to review that quality manual against this whichever standard it's written against, to make sure that it addresses the standard, and so I have an understanding what processes you're following, and then I'm going to come in and do the audit.
Okay. So they're not doing the work day to day with audit in mind?
If they're not doing the work day to day with audit in mind, or with just basic project management in mind, they're going to be in trouble. That,
On the other hand, if they're following the plan and doing quality work, then an audit ought to be a piece of cake for them.
that's right. That's right. And it's usually somewhere, well, I'll say it's skewed. It's not quite in the middle. I think someone put up a graph and they said, okay, let's look at quality across industries. And there was aerospace and pharmaceutical over here, and these people really get it. And then way over the other end was design and construction. So that's the nature of why we're trying to change things. You think about that the next time you're on the freeway.
Or in your house.
Or in your house, or at Walmart. So the audit report, we try to get that out within 30 days of the audit, give them the formal presentation of findings, opportunities, and recommendations. I always include an identification of what records did I look at and who did I interview. The records are important because they're going to want to be able to put their hands around something concrete and think, okay, what can we fix? And if I've just said, hey, you've got a problem with, say, your sample custody documents, but I don't let them know which ones, that's not helping them address their immediate corrective actions efficiently. So let them know, again, immediately, here's what we looked at, here's where you need to go back to doing your immediate corrections, and give them a copy of the checklist so they can see exactly what it is that the audit consisted of. Again, it's about building that transparency. Verify that the corrective actions were done. This is one of the areas I found that a lot of auditees struggle with. They get used to the idea of, okay, the auditor came here and we put on a good show and now we've got the report, okay. Really helping them understand they've actually got to go ahead and build a corrective action plan. They need to communicate that corrective action plan back to me, and I think one of the biggest things I always have to push for is usually, even after I get the corrective action plan, is again and again, I say, you need to tell me the date by when you're going to have all these things done so that I can schedule coming back to do a verification. For some reason, nobody wants to hand out that date, but I gotta keep going back over that. So my follow-ups may be a site visit. Sometimes I can do a desk audit. It's going to depend. I've even had some audits where I've been able to close it out doing video conferencing, which has been nice. And then we issue the formal closure letter. So,
there's recently been a change in the regulations, and I'm not sure in whose industry, whether it's ISO so do you require that the action plan be complete prior to closure?
no, I do not. The corrective action plan
You
only
just
has
need
to
the
state
responses
that
and
I just want to know that the root cause analysis has been performed and that immediate and preventive actions have been identified in the schedule set for implementation.
okay.
ASHTO R18, I don't know if it's actually, I don't think it's in there, but AMRL, which is the body that governs ASHTO R18 implementation, their process was very much that within 60 days of the audit report, you'll send back a response that will show how you closed everything. So they were putting a 60-day timeline when potentially you might have a problem that's going to take more than 60 days. But that's the only place where I ran into that.
So